The New York Mets are a team known for making some questionable trades over the course of their existence. For example, they traded away two of the best starting pitchers in baseball history, Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver, away for pieces that never panned out in Mets uniforms. There are a lot more examples of this team making awful trades and getting fleeced, but in this video I'm going to talk about one specific trade that was definitely the worst in franchise history. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and let's go ahead and get to the video. The 2022 Mets were a team that finished 101-61, which was tied for first place in the NL East division. Despite that, they became the first ever 100-win team to be eliminated in the Wild Card Series, and this trade was part of the reason the Mets were in that situation at all. Going into the trade deadline, the Mets' DH position was awful, and they had already made a trade for slugger Daniel Vogelbach. They traded away promising young relief pitcher Colin Holderman for Vogelbach, who was pretty good for the Mets after the trade deadline in 2022, but has struggled in the early goings of 2023. That is a questionable trade for this Mets team, but there was definitely worse in 2022. Going into opening day of 2022, J.D. Davis had been the Mets' expected starting DH for the season because of his power numbers and pretty awful defense at third base. Davis had had great years in the past, so there was no reason to think that he would regress as heavily as he did for the Mets in 2022. In 66 games for the Mets in 2022, Davis hit just .238 while getting on base at a below-average .324 clip. His OPS and OPS plus numbers were also below average, so the Mets had no choice but to put him back on the block for the trade deadline. They did end up finding a suitor in the San Francisco Giants, and no shade to the Mets front office because they generally do a good job, but they got absolutely fleeced in this deal. In return for Davis and three prospects, the Mets got DH/first baseman DARIN RUF from the Giants. Obviously, the Mets wanted Ruff for his power. He had hit just .216 for the Giants, but he had 11 home runs compared to Davis's 4 for the Mets. At the time, nobody really loved this trade, with a lot of people even ragging on the Mets for overpaying, but mostly people understood that this would be a win-now move for the Mets' upcoming division race. It is truly insane how much of the opposite this move would be. Ruff played 28 games down the stretch for the Mets and hit just .152 with a .216 on-base percentage, a .413 OPS, 0 home runs, and an all-time bad 20 OPS plus. If you don't know what OPS plus is, it's basically a measure of how good a Major League Baseball hitter is compared to the rest of the league, and the league average OPS plus is 100. With a 20 OPS plus, Ruff was 80% worse than the average Major League hitter for the Mets.
As for J.D. Davis, he turned back into the old J.D. Davis that the Mets thought they were getting at the start of the 2022 season. He hit .262 with a .362 on-base percentage, an .857 OPS, a .141 OPS plus, and 8 home runs for the Giants. The war exchange with these two players in just 2022 alone after they got traded is a perfect representation of their value to their clubs. DARIN RUF had a negative 1.2 WAR for the Mets, and J.D. Davis had a .7 WAR for the Giants. Davis's WAR for the Giants will only go up as he continues to rake for them, but DARIN RUF was finally released by the Mets before opening day of 2023. The three prospects the Giants got with Davis are Thomas Szapucki, Nick Zwack, and Carlos Seymour. In 13.2 innings for the Giants in 2022, Szapucki put up a 1.98 ERA and a 1.171 WHIP. Seymour has posted a right around 3 ERA in Double-A Richmond for the Giants, but thankfully Zwack has not been good. I truly believe that this trade might have been the worst in recent baseball history. And to make things worse for the Mets, after the team released him before opening day, he got signed on a minor league deal by the Giants and decided to turn back the clock with his old team, hitting .261 with a .370 on-base percentage. You truly can't make this stuff up. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you all in my next video.